Greetings. My name is Dr. Malik-Hakim Kadir, and this is Mental Health Matters with Dr. Malik-Hakim Kadir. And this morning, I want to remind you, therapy is not a bad word. So, in my meditation, I was thinking about a IP that I came across and was introduced to many years ago called the Triangle of Self-Obsession, IP being informational pamphlet. And in it talks about resentment, anger, and fear. Being resentful about our past, angry about our present, and fearful of our future. And I know all too well what that's all about, and some of you do too. So let's get into it. All right, the resentment about the past. Man, I was adopted and I'm the middle of 7. So for the longest time, I could not figure out what was so wrong with me that my own mother didn't want me. And I really had a problem with that. I was very resentful. And I was adopted into a family that was just, for lack of a better term, the typical family. They weren't dysfunctional. They were just doing the best they could. Dysfunctional is a word that gets thrown around way too easily. They did the best they could with what they knew. Yes, my father was an alcoholic, and yes, my grandmother was a bootlegger and a poker player, and I loved that woman to pieces. And yes, my mother was just kind of in the background, consummate codependent, but what I was most resentful of was the fact that I didn't look like any of them, and I didn't know I had another family. And then when I met one, I didn't know what was wrong with me, and I didn't know the word resentment. I didn't even realize I was angry, but in retrospect, all my actions proved that. And some of you are still dwelling on things that have happened in your childhood, still dwelling on things that happened in your marriage, still dwelling on things that happened with your significant others or your kids or your parents or your job. You're still dwelling on it. And the people that you feel victimized you, they're not sitting around feeling bad about you. They have moved on. But yet here you are, giving those individuals, institutions, and entities all of your power. All of your mental efforts are focused on being resentful about the past. So that's where radical acceptance comes into play. Am I saying pretend it doesn't exist? No. What I am saying is make a decision about what are you going to do about it. Are you going to continue to stay stuck there in that resentment? Or are you going to take a long, hard look at yourself? Identify all of your strengths, your assets, what you bring to the table, what you're good at, your talents, your skills, your beauty. I'm talking about that inner beauty, not this goes away, man. This could change tomorrow. I could, all that could be gone. I'm talking about what comes from within. And then realize they didn't know you anyway. So fuck them. And everybody that looked like them. And keep it moving. Being angry about your present state. Currently, black, white, or other, the world is a pretty fucked up place for everyone. Unless you are in that, minimal percentage population that actually has some level of control. The pandemic has shown us just how little control we actually have. So, my approach to this current state, rather than sitting around being angry about it, is to do what's in front of me. Like this. Up until recently, I had never made a video. Up until recently, I didn't have any real drive to do a TED Talk now. I'm just really hoping and praying that I get an opportunity, only because I want to share a message on a much broader audience, not about me. I could do it sitting behind a screen where you don't even see me, and I would be perfectly content to not even, yeah, I don't need accolades. I'm not seeking external validation, man. I love me, some me. I don't need anybody else to confirm that. So, yeah, but being angry, you know how much energy anger takes, and anger equals poison. Anger is toxic. Anger is debilitating. Anger will turn inward and become depression and make it so you can't even get out of bed or off the sofa. And there you are laying there with the blinds closed and the TV on, but the volume turned all the way down, and you got your phone on Do Not Disturb, and you're watching it blow up, and all you can do is just lay there, with the exception of the occasional trip to the refrigerator where you open the door, stand there, look in, and realize once again you have no appetite and nothing appeals to you, and nothing sounds good, and you're just numb, emotionally disconnected, because that anger has reached such toxic levels that it is now depression. And fear about the future. Yes, the future can seem very uncertain. Does that mean that I don't plan for the future? No, but I plan for the future knowing that I have to stay grounded in the present moment. All right, I'm not trying to acquire a bunch of stuff, because the ancient Egyptians, my ancestors, proved to all mankind, you can't take that shit with you. Nobody's ever seen a hearse with a U-Haul attached to it. All right, so, rather than focusing on acquiring materialism, I focus on acquiring and maintaining my peace. And trust me when I tell you, man, I was the type of motherfucker that I couldn't even relax. People used to say, oh my God, do you ever relax? And I would go, fuck you mean relax? This is me relaxed. But I was wound so tight, because of the environments that I dwelled in, and because of the people that I had in my presence, and because of how resentful and angry I was. I was full of fear. I couldn't move. I was stuck on stupid, stuck like Chuck, because of fear of the future, because I couldn't see any further than right in front of me. I couldn't see any further than the end of my hand, which most of the time had a crack pipe in it. I couldn't see any further than the next hustle, the next come up, the next caper, the next... I couldn't see. I was blind. I had no notion of a future. And some of you are the same. And some of you make these declarations. Oh, I can't afford to go to school. Don't want student debt. Who does? I mean, I have a doctorate degree. You can't talk to me about student loan debt. All right, that conversation's not even on the table. Shit. Sally Mae and Freddie Mac ain't talking to me unless I got some money in my hand. They don't even take my calls. So miss me with that bullshit. All right, it's an investment in you. It's an investment in you. And I'm not saying you have to go back to school to have a good living. I had made a comment recently about, having acquired my degrees, and someone went on there and said, I don't need it. I figured out how to get paid without getting a degree. Awesome. That is absolutely awesome. Take up a trade. All right, look at what you do. You've been sitting around baking desserts through the whole pandemic. Are you selling them? That's a business. You've been journaling for almost 2 years now about, how resentful, angry, and fearful you are you publishing it? That's a business. Are you doing any public speaking? Are you mentoring? Are you trying to motivate? Have you formulated a support group? Or are you binge watching and spending hours and hours on social media, scrolling through videos and wishing things would be different? So rather than being resentful about the past, accept it. It is what it is. And it's over. The past is over. See, that's why a car is designed the way it is, in that the windshield is much bigger than the rear view mirror, because we are, hopefully looking forward and occasionally glancing behind us versus staring in the past and not paying attention to where we're going. So you're either not moving or you're going to crash if that's what you're doing. Yeah, angry about the present. Anger equals poison. It's toxic and it's time to let it go. So Dr. Malik, how do I let that anger go? Well, start by looking at who you have in your life and how much energy you're giving them, and cut some motherfuckers off. Here we are, we're on our path and we're trying to drag somebody else along on our path that's not even supposed to be there. A lot of times it's a fear of being alone. Oh, I'd rather put up with the bullshit than be by myself because the truth of the matter is, some of us don't like ourselves enough to be by ourselves. And I'm going to tell you something. I used to be one of those people, so I can speak to this with absolute certainty. That can change. I used to be so afraid to be by myself. And now I can come home or be home, not turn on a phone, a TV, some music, the microwave, nothing. And I can sit in complete silence and just be still and be comfortable. I love the skin I'm in today, but that took work. That took being able to get to the point that I can sit and talk with anybody about what it is to, live the life that I get to live today versus the life I had that I completely burned to the ground. And what it is to have the relationships and the acquaintanceships and the opportunities that I have today versus the ones that I completely blew up. I didn't burn bridges, I blew them up. I was a demolition expert, all right? Chaos was my comfort zone. I was attracted to scam and dark and seedy places. And when I say scam, I'm not talking about like credit card scam. I'm talking about like just, scam like in scandalous behavior. And I know SCAM is not in the word scandalous, but some things, what's understood don't need to be explained. So if I'm talking to my people, then you already know. And if not, ask somebody, all right? But yeah, that was my comfort. And today, peace is my shelter. That's a quote from a movie in the 80s that some of you might have recognized called The Last Dragon. That was his mantra. Peace is my shelter. Yes, peace is my shelter. And it can be yours too. But you gotta let some stuff go. And you gotta put some work in. You gotta stop crying victim. All right, if you're in a fucked up relationship, and do something about it. Either, do couples counseling, do some individual therapy. And if you do individual therapy and the other person refuses to participate in couples counseling, eventually what's going to happen is you're going to grow and they're going to go. Because they're not going to be able to stand in your light. Darkness cannot exist in the midst of light. So, yeah. Get some help. Seek some wise counsel. Your mind is not your friend. Dude, you don't know me. Yeah, I'm telling you. If you're sitting around counseling yourself, having whole conversations with yourself, plotting someone else's death in your mind because you continue to allow them to treat you the way you teach them it's okay to treat you, then your mind is not your friend. We teach people how to treat us. All right, so when I started treating myself with dignity and respect, when I started treating myself like I have worth, when I started treating myself like I am valuable, then guess what? Other people did too. And the ones that weren't capable of doing that, I don't know where the fuck they at. They long gone. And fuck them and everybody that look like them. So this is Dr. Malik-Hakim Kadir talking to you about resentment, anger, and fear. Resentful about our past, angry about our present, fearful of our future. That is a path going nowhere, people. I want to remind you that therapy is not a bad word, and mental health matters. If you are anywhere in the state of Oregon and you are seeking a therapist and haven't been able to find one, look me up on Psychology Today. I am accepting new clients and pretty much every insurance known to man, with the exception of a couple, which I can't think of right off the top of my head, but that's on my page. And please know I don't just see black people, okay? Because people are people and we do what we do. All right, so yeah. Just because I'm pro-black doesn't mean I'm anti anything else. So just wanted to put that out there just in case, to clear up any confusion that might exist in someone's mind who thinks too much, like we all have occasion to do sometimes. So again, this is Dr. Malik-Hakim Kadir reminding you that mental health matters and therapy is not a bad day. Bad word. Yeah, therapy is not a bad day. It can be a pretty good day. That was a Freudian slip and not a bad one. So, peace and blessings, and I'll see you next time.